Action for Development is a national women's interest organization with vast experience in promoting women's rights and gender equality in Uganda. For more than 3 decades now, ACFODE has been a strong advocate of gender equality, empowerment of women and girls, and the elimination of all forms of violence against women and girls in the country. We envision a society where gender equality is a reality, and our aim is to empower women and girls and influence legislation and policy for gender equality in Uganda. In October 2020, ACFODE commissioned a baseline survey as part of her promoting equitable, just and accountable conservation in the Mount Elgon Conservation Area project, and the purpose for this was to collect baseline data upon which to monitor change in the operational communities and to obtain useful background information that would consequently inform planning and the review of project strategies and interventions if found necessary. We wanted to ascertain the existing status of the people of the frontline communities in the Mountain Elgon Conservation Area with regard to the enjoyment of their rights and freedoms, and to confirm and identify suitable adjustments, if any, in the design of the program for it to be able to deliver positive and the anticipated results. The survey communities were selected villages in Mwanale Sub-County, Mbale District, communities of Bujitimwa Sub-County in Sironko District, part of Gumbo Sub-County in Namisindwa District, and selected villages in Butoto Sub-County, Manafa District. Data was gathered through both quantitative and qualitative means using a household survey questionnaire and focus group discussions, as well as key informant interviews to validate findings from the household survey, dig out issues and facts not raised by the quantitative survey, and gather additional information to benefit the project. We bring you a few tales from the surveyed communities.
When we look at the Mount Elgon National Park, it has been in existence since 1938 when it was gazetted by the colonial government. The conflicts that we talk about and we have observed and witnessed arise after that period of turmoil when the country did not have good leadership. There was a lot of encroachment. And when the NRM government came on board and there were issues of establishing management systems in place to protect the protected area, to conserve the protected areas, then conflicts arose. Ordinary people have been surviving from these protected areas. They were their farming gardens, where they would get their food and general survival.
This land, which we claim is our ancestral land, we evicted in 1993 at Ghana Point.
The first eviction was in 1993. Me, I was still young. I was around 8 years.
Some of our people lost their lives. Our properties were looted. Houses were burned. Our women were raped.
Just like the chairman and the other elders have put it, our properties were destroyed. There were massive rape, and the evidence is attached on the documents taken to court.
We have tried our level best. At first, we used our MPs, but it failed. We put the case to police, but there was no any assistance. So we have to go to court of law. Now court of law gave us a court injunction protecting us not to be evicted, not to be tortured, and not to do any activity in our ancestral land. But after some time, we had one official from Ua, who was called Matanda Richard. He issued an eviction letter. It started with Mkoto village. Evicted people at Gun Point. They destroyed all our property, food was destroyed. Houses and food stores were banned. We had to come somewhere in a place called Congo Park. They promised us that they are going to assist us. The government was going to assist us. We had to stay in that place until we got tired. And as we had no any assistance, we had to wonder about others moved to Kenya. Others went even as far as Kusoka, others went to...
There was total eviction, but because we also proved that the land was ours, we had to pull ropes. They push us, we also push them.
Kikumba and other areas.
Most of our people have migrated to the neighboring country, Kenya. Others are in the Kilyandongo, others went to Lambuli, just simply because we are congested. People are being chased. Today they are in, tomorrow they are out. Today they are in, tomorrow they are out.
Most of them migrated to Kenya. Now in Kenya, as you know, there's some trespass in Makanyako. When they reach there, they suffer a lot. Some of them are murdered, others imprisoned, we are suffering a lot. Our children, it's very hard to go to school, although there is this universal secondary education, universal primary education.
Personally speaking, our education in this sub-county, I only got a chance of getting an external support. That's why you see me speaking some little English. But the rest of my brothers really are down when it comes to education. The parents have completely failed to raise the fees for their children. As I speak, if you happen to move around this community, you realize that what I'm telling you is the truth. As a result of that, there is what we can say total poverty. People are really poor.
We are deep under poverty line.
The real people of this place are in total poverty. And the reason is just one. They've never got time of settling. The little time they have, they are evicted, they are chased away. But because they feel the land is theirs and it is ours, we force ourselves back.
Generally, our community is an enclosed community. When I talk about enclosed, we have very poor road networks, we have very poor service delivery. The education levels are also quite low. So when we look at the population, we do not have many community members living their inherent areas of origin to go and search for opportunities outside their areas of birth.
Because we are living as refugees in our own country. We should not be displaced and taken away to other areas because we have our ancestors who lie buried there. So we want to remain with what? The graves of our ancestors.
What we want is the return of our land. We want to return our land. Because when you look at what these people call a park, I think I'll give you time or you give me time, we move out and show you. You can't tell me this is a park from here, you move some few meters, you say this is not a park, you go there, you say it is a park, you are going to move some few meters, it's not a park. Now what is that? Oh, what science is in that? We've totally failed to understand that. And that's why we are resisting, want government to come up openly and surrender our land to us.
The volcanic soils are very fertile.
We want the government to compensate us for the sufferings we have been facing, the people who were murdered, damages, including our crops, houses, household property.
From what I've just explained above, the destruction of properties, the evictions, the massive rape and what, we want to be compensated for that.
We want to discuss around the table to approve the boundary because there are some decisions which are just made in Kampala. They just come to force us to follow those discussions. But where I'm talking, there won't be any solution unless we sit on a round table physically to solve what? To solve this issue. Because even if we die, our children were born from there, we also born from there, our fathers were born from there. For us as elderly as we are, even if we die, our children will continue to claim what? The ancestral land.
When yoyosi oba any department ukuitsayo kanikeyo ile khola kaneni nayo bya kutambise kukende furao kane kambino kumana oli yo bali bakolanga kabineti ate sisi kutambise nayo maundeli code siyafukirisibwa ninafu abantu abekhali baranga meeting kwenza kwakanikana ninabo niyo barawo maundeli konita gavumenti yekhalilawo nga niyo yatandikha khukhubisanga ekhubisire nga khocha mukoti esifo khumenya uwebale lyawawe esi nabo bamenye fo khubalakho lyawafwe ani mayi project yosi nyala yakholekhana khumaundeli koni nga government siyetsilatuwela ninafu khwafukilisyani khwarera olulwakha lwesifo khunyala khwabona khuli khwarera olutufu government yabonele khwawulisyane lwabelewo niyo project chirosele khumaundeli koni nebusa chirosela chiliena mwamala kamala kalikho kilifu khusaba khuli ene project ikhuyete ikole government khwitsa khuground khukanikhana kuli khuba bintu byokhwayela khwakanikha mediation mukoti paka bakhusukuma khukobole mukoti akhabalisendi bamile permanent secretary khukhwama mosha prime minister khwama nina wakanikha bintu bino ngalomali khukocha muparliament bachile bakanikha nga bakanikha nebetse bakhukanikhe bayime permanent solution yerwakha barekho nyosikile project singi chicho muloma mulichili khukhwama mwituli chiche chitandikhe khukholekha yokhuyitisa ifomu singa nicho mbonambo khufuna benefit oba khubanja kulukuto khuli maundeli konikani khole oba khubanja kamasomelo nga benefit chichili nga boundaries yabelewo khulomana khwesifo khulomana ne government khuba khwawelewo niyo bibintu project chirose niyobusa chirose lachiliena mwamala ifo khwekhwesana abundu bakhulomanirawo sinyali khasirie kila khusaba khuli ene project oba ene department nga yicha iboneli yamali kutawano kuwakabale bwibyo basi niyo project chirose oba kumendeina nga bali kumendeina sisali babe bamendeina niyo babali nali kumendeina ogenda mwamala ifa khola mabu yawe ifa abona kono nawe bibi ndibe bibi kutamse kilo bona khakana nali samudi wolwa kalutusa ndwa yobi kila kilo bona kutamsi bwana sisi sembona nasalionga nwe NGO mumukendile mwabona bintu bino nga mukana burambe bulayi mukobole mukanikhanene government itselele khulwakha lutufu lwamala burambe bwenyekana burambe nebusa anile simbaji nyira bwarandekhela sefana nakamila.
Getting back to the character of our people, I would say that our community, the societal setup, is about the man, his patriarchal. Women are looked at as people that provide labor at household level. And true to that, the women will do most of the work and the husbands will benefit from what the women have provided. To the extent that even when there are trainings and meetings and the like, the women hardly have time for such social activities. It's the men that will attend. But the men are not tilling the land, they're not interacting with the land, so the knowledge they get is not transformed into actual results on the ground. The number two, as men in this region, most of them know that they know. I hope it's clear when they say they know, because their position is their position. And because of that, transitioning from one thinking to another takes a process. And then because of the challenges they have faced after the resurveying of the park boundary, they live in a lot of fear. There is a lot of apathy, there is a lot of mistrust, there is a lot of displeasure with government institutions. In them, they know whatever is coming from government is taken away, is being used as a ploy to grab their land. So many times when projects come, we take a lot of time, we spend a lot of time trying to get them to appreciate the projects before they can eventually be accepted and be implemented. When we look at the woman, the local woman, she knows that she has to bear the bigger responsibility of the family, providing for the food and doing all the household chores. The system that is in place hardly protects the interests and rights of the woman, more so when the bride price has been paid. So the woman may not have a say, may not even be welcomed back at her birthplace the moment bride price has been paid. Therefore, they struggle, they go through these hardships knowing that this is the type of life that they have to lead. We cherish in coffee, Arabica coffee. Sometime back, I think it was the best coffee globally, but recently I've been told that it is the third best globally. This is something that should be considered as gold in this region. Unfortunately, that's not the case with the liberalization of the economy. And the liberalization has put the farmer at a bigger loss because we do not have community or farmer-led enterprise value chains developed. For coffee, you find that the buyer determines the price, not the farmer. And unfortunately, between the buyer and the farmer, there are middlemen who tend to even take the bigger share rather than the share going to the farmer. So in a way, it's a big challenge in that without these value chains, the communities are more at a loss, despite the fact that they have gold in the Arabica coffee as an opportunity. Number two, Elgon region still remains a virgin area for tourism development, but the road network is so poor. The terrain is equally bad and to therefore need a lot of investment for the roads to be put in place. Therefore, the many tourist potentials haven't been developed. But also the community is not even aware that tourists, their potentials are a resource that they can develop and tap into and benefit from. Then the other issue is that our communities, given the low education levels, I talked about our systems being closed. Where you are born is where you end up marrying from. Where you get married, the education levels, because of the terrain, are equally quite low. And because of the high benefits from agriculture, very many boys and girls tend to drop off from school early and opt to go to grow crops and earn money. In any case, they are going to school to earn money. So if agriculture is giving them money, they don't see why they should go into education. And of course, because of the poor road network, equally, supervision is limited. We have a few teachers who are willing to send those areas and the like, and the quality of education is actually quite low. And because of this, we are challenged by the empowerment levels. Our people are not empowered, and empowerment has limited the development potentials of this region, to the extent that there is a lot of politicizing of development issues. Even when an issue does not need to be politicized, someone will take advantage of the ignorance of the people and politicize it for personal benefit, which is quite unfortunate. Now, in terms of government response, I would say that the institutional establishment is in place for addressing these issues. For us as a local government, ours is service delivery. In terms of agriculture, we have agriculture extension staff providing the necessary agriculture support. But of course, in the past, agriculture extension was not so good. It has just been revamped in the recent years. In terms of the management of the national park, we have the Uganda Life Management, Uganda Life Authority that is managing the Mount Elgon National Park. So the institutional structures are in place. And there are some interventions that have demonstrated win-wins. For example, under OWA and NFA, there are collaborative management arrangements where the communities can access certain resources from the park on agreed upon terms. But of course, some people could breach those agreements and it creates conflict. But also, people have not taken advantage of this good collaboration to benefit from it. For example, the park has provided land for people to put up beehives, but the capacity for the communities to manage the apiary as a business has not been developed. And we've not tapped into it as people of the Mbale region. But our colleagues in Sebei are doing it. They have honey that is associated with the Sebei region. When we look at coffee, Bugisu Cooperative Union is now not functional because it does not have an exporting license. So we have Chaglani doing most of the export. But to what extent is the farmer benefiting if it is the buyer that is determining the price? So we really need to find a way of addressing those challenges so that most of the benefit goes to the farmer. The institutional arrangement that is there can be strengthened to ensure that the benefits accrue more to the people rather than to the protected areas only. What I think we need to do, we need to have interventions that establish a strong linkage between conservation and livelihoods, the importance of these protected areas and the opportunities they provide that can address their livelihood aspects. Then the other one is that we need to empower the people so that the people have a say over the decisions that are made. In terms of the price for their produce, they should have a say. In terms of the institutional setup for them to benefit from the resources that are managed by the protected institutions, they should have a say. In terms of how they can benefit from the protected areas, they should have a say, but from an informed point of view. Currently, we are having structures, but the extent to which they can speak for the voice of the local person may not be fully developed and appreciated as yet. And I want to say that I see this as a big task. Government alone and the existing institutions that are in place may not be able to do this. So we shall need other support, other actors. For example, ACFODE, which is good on human rights and empowerment issues. It could come in and handle some of these aspects. This region is devoid of NGOs, probably because of the characters and our hardened nature. But we are people who, if we are taught what we can do, and we are shown the opportunities we have, and we are shown the resource and the power we have, I believe we can make amends and move towards progression instead of being so hardened, and we deny and block opportunities for development for our people. Thank you so much.
Thanks to the Swedish Foundation for Human Rights for this great partnership.